One of the things about building a kit that seems to worry people is winding toroids. So at the risk of being accused of teaching grandmother to suck eggs, I thought I would just try and explain it in a simple way. So here's a typical small toroid. Don't worry about what it is or what compound it is or anything like that. Kits generally come with the right things, so you don't have to worry about that. And we've got some wire here that we want to wind on it. I'm not going to worry about direction either. I'm just showing how to actually wind the coil. So a lot of people make this mistake. Let's put one winding on a coil, they say. So we'll pass it through there like that and back through. When you look at the top, that's just one winding, isn't it? Well, no, it isn't, because if you look in the middle, it's got two. So what's right? Well, the simple answer is every time the wire passes through the toroid, it's a winding. So one winding is simply that. It's just the wire through the toroid, and that is one winding. And the way I do it is I get my one winding through like so, and then I come through again and I start counting at 2. So that's 2. Pass it through again, making sure that it's not crossing the other one, and that's 3. And if you look inside, you'll see there are 3 windings. So that is how to wind a standard toroid. Now we use another type of toroid that's known as a binocular toroid. And here's a typical binocular toroid. You'll see here that the edges are rounded over to stop or attempt to stop any damage to the enamelled wire that we use. Sometimes these won't be rounded over, so you just need to be very cautious, maybe even just file it a little around the edges. So how does this work? Well, looking at our previous toroid, this one, you would think that is one winding, wouldn't you? But it isn't. That's half a winding. In fact, that is one winding, just like so. And I'll explain that a little bit. What we have, if we look through the toroid, is our binocular toroid looks a little bit like this, where we have one hole through here like so, and another hole through here like so. Now what we can do with this is we can actually, if you can imagine cutting the toroid through here and folding the whole thing round, then this bit moves down here and we end up like this with one hole through. So now we've got rid of that bit and we've stitched it on the bottom here. So when we run a wire through there, that's a single winding. You notice it's gone through both halves of the core in exactly the same way. So when we've got our binocular toroid with our 2 holes through it, what this allows us to do is have half a winding, which you can't do with a standard toroid. So you can have a wire through and that is half a winding. You can pass it back through and that is one winding. We can go through again and that is now 1.5 windings. I hope that made sense to you. If you've got any more questions, please just pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. I'm nobody's genius with this sort of thing, but toroids seem to confuse people and they're really quite straightforward if you just follow the basic rules. I hope that helped.